One Championship throws a $50 million left esports hook. The Champions League goes electronic, and SAP sponsors its first Dota 2 major. Today is November 12th. This is your TEO Monday Morning Briefing. Hey, this is Graham Ashton bringing you the biggest esports business headlines. Our top story of last week, Asian mixed martial arts promotion One Championship will launch its own One Esports series next year in partnership with Japanese PR firm Dentsu. The games will be played across Asia in conjunction with MMA fights, and One Championship athlete Demetrius Johnson will serve as the series' chief brand ambassador. Razer and Singtel Group have already signed on to support the series. Alongside its key partners, One Championship plans to invest up to $50 million into its esports program. To put that into context, the company has raised around $250 million to date, is valued at roughly $1 billion, and plans to become one of Asia's multi-billion-dollar sports properties. It wasn't the only sports brand to branch out into esports last week. EA Sports has announced the E-Champions League with UEFA, with next year's finals to take place in Madrid a day before the regular Champions League finals. E-Premier League, E-MLS, E-Superliga, they're in our FIFA versions of nearly every major soccer competition on the planet, all of which use the FIFA Ultimate Team mode, which with its monetized collectible card system accounted for $1.1 billion, that's 50%, of EA's live services last year, which is 25% of the company's total revenue. To round out our competition news, the inaugural PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds esports season will feature 9 regional leagues, 2 third-party global events planned for April and July, and a $2 million prize pool global championship to close out the year. PUBG may not be able to monetize its content to the extent that Fortnite does, but it does have a head start when it comes to esports, and this system is actually rather unique. It combines the financial stability of a franchise league with the regional competitions, whilst allowing third-party companies to capitalize on global events. All that waits to be seen is whether there's a global audience who will watch it. Turning to investments, Overwolf has raised $16 million in a funding round led by Intel Capital. If you remember, both companies started their own $7 million investment fund back in August. The goal of all this cash flow is to create a larger third-party app market, specifically targeting esports and hardcore gaming. Meanwhile, Refresh Entertainment, the owners of Astralis, have raised $10 million in additional funding from existing investors, as well as the Danish Growth Fund. That last part shouldn't be so surprising. The Danish Prime Minister spoke on stage at the most recent Blast Pro series, and Refresh will soon have a significant European foothold, with Astralis reportedly entering the EU-LCS, which carries a buy-in fee of 10.5 million euros. Plus, the Blast Pro series is also expanding internationally to 3 new locations next year. In sponsorships and partnerships, SAP has been named the official analytics partner for the upcoming Kuala Lumpur Dota 2 major. The broadcast-based activation will include much of what we saw at ESL One Hamburg, including back-end services and data access for tournament organizer PGL. Lastly, G2 Esports is launching a Fortnite reality show with its partners PaySafeCard, Logitech G, and Esports Management, the winners of which will receive a full-time contract with G2's content team. It's fair to say at this point that Fortnite is more valuable as a game for influencers than it is for competitive esports players, and G2's initiative will be an interesting test case to see how teams can market non-esports content to esports audiences. That's all for this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with the latest esports business news. You can also find daily stories and features on our website, esportsobserver.com. We also have the TEO News app available on the App Store, and you can of course keep up to date through social media using any of the handles above. We'll see you next time.